2026 Volvo EX30 Cross Country this raised F-hatch is just a suspension tune away from being an enthusiast favorite. Interesting electric cars need to be appreciated. Battery-powered skateboards on wheels are the natural enemy of automotive passion. That's why when quirky, new EVs like the Volvo EX30 Cross Country pop up, our curiosity peaks. This is the Swedish automaker's first use of its long-running CC branding on a fully electric vehicle in passing. The EX30 Cross Country is just another EV. It's unassuming, inoffensive, and generally fine. It's cute, but as an onlooker, there's not much reason to pay it attention. Sitting inside and spending time behind the wheel changes those feelings. This little Swedish hatchbox hides a fun soul. The load on the EX30 Cross Country is the new range topper for Volvo's smallest. It brings a mix of outdoors adventure energy, Swedish vibes, and the upmarket quality we've come to expect and appreciate from Volvo. It also carries the torch for the Cross Country moniker, which has been around since the 90s to indicate a more off-road biased version of a regular road car. The EX30 is the first to gain the designation, but we can be sure it won't be the last as the Cross Country shares its core architecture with the regular EX30 twin motor. With all-wheel drive and a peak output of 420 horsepower, power supplied by the same 69 kilowatt-hours battery pack. It sits 0.7 inch higher than the standard EX30 and gets redesigned bumpers front and rear, plus standard roof rails. Range has fallen slightly. Volvo promises 227 miles, which isn't substantial by segment standards, although will be generally fine for city and slightly out-of-city runabout duties. Notably, that figure is down from the non-Cross Country's 253 EPA range estimate, so we'll have to see where it lands once the EPA number is in. Official pricing hasn't yet been released. But with the normal Ultra EX30 coming at $47,895, without options, expect the Cross Country to land around the $50,000 mark. How does it drive? For the most part, the Cross Country is basically the same as the normally EX30 Ultra it is based on. The teeny lift and slightly retuned suspension don't make a big difference to the way it drives, although the car I drove in Sweden rode on the regular Goodyear summer tires. Rather than the optional Cooper all-terrain rubber, I suspect that would have brought more obvious dynamic changes. The Cross Country was fun to hustle around the country roads north of Gothenburg, even with its mild 3/4 of an inch lift. It managed corners well, maintaining a planted feeling around medium-speed backroad corners. I didn't drive the CC back-to-back with a regular EX30, but the taller car didn't feel clumsy or in any way slow to respond. Its 3-mode high-low and off-regenerative braking system was also well-tuned and provided for strong stopping power when desired. Though I'd love the addition of the auto-regan function that comes on its much bigger sibling, the EX90. The EX30 Cross Country is plenty quick, too. The sole twin-motor powertrain option for now makes the EX30 one of the quickest cars Volvo has ever produced, with a claimed 0 to 60 of just 3.5 seconds. During my time in Sweden, I wasn't pushing crazy speeds, but in my short couple of hours with the car, I found myself nearing hatch levels of enjoyment. The car felt light on its feet, firm but compliant and not stiff over bumps, and was brutally quick. My testing stayed far from hammering territory, but initial fun levels were surprisingly high from a driving perspective. It's sprightly and a joy on the road. The EX30 hit the 3 C's: composed, collected, and comfortable. What's you like to live with? I tend to be skeptical of leather-free interiors on upmarket cars, but I was left impressed and enamored by the EX30s. There are so many weird, quirky fun, different textures and materials around the cabin. Volvo offers 2 options for the seats. There's a pine-inspired choice, which uses a partially recycled wool blend material, and another option called indigo, which has denim stylings. Both are combined with Volvo's familiar Nordico synthetic leather. Those aren't even the exciting bits, though. Soft, rubber-like materials on the dashboard and door cards were reminiscent of playground tile. And this is surrounded by a neat, woven fiber material. Even the interior door handles, which felt sturdy to the touch, stood out to me as well-weighted and impressively crafted. These are small details, but they add a ton of character to the car. Of course, the interior isn't completely perfect. It's generally roomy, but the rear door entryway is a bit awkwardly sized for adults. I'm also not personally in love with some of the Tesla-fied features that the EX30 brings, such as the mass relocation of controls and displays to the 12.3-inch center screen. Volvo's hard work on its Google-based user interface shows through, and it continues to send out over-the-air updates to improve the experience by having gauges front and center behind the steering wheel instead of on the screen, as well as dedicated physical controls for adjustments like mirror tweaking. Just feels right out overall. The center screen experience is by no means a bad one, but if you're like me and you like a conventional gauge layout, this takes a little getting used to. Should I buy one? If you're hunting for a fun-to-drive, reasonably sized car around $50,000 electric and not the EX30 Cross Country should be on your list. It's got personality, quality, comfort, roam, and boasts impressive performance stats, that is, as long as you're not searching for a range monster. The EX30 is also a strong argument against waiting for a Rivian R3, or at least for something to hold you over. Though it falls short of the R3's claimed future 300-mile range, it's a similar shape, size, and brings much of the same energy to the table. The same goes for those shopping for general Tesla alternatives, or those who are open to an upmarket of alternative to the Subaru Crosstrek or Mazda CX-5. This thing has more character than any of those cars, which is extremely impressive, especially for an highlights and lowlights who love very quick and competent around corners. That fun, characterful interior materials with Swedish design and build quality, small enough to be city-friendly, large enough not to feel cramped. We don't, not super. Efferdabra Tucher-only controls and keycard entry are annoying. Thankfully, there's also a key fob. Backseat door opening is tight for tall adults. Favorite detail: the EX30 Cross Country packs a handful of Easter eggs that add to its overall cuteness factor. Everyone loves an Easter egg.